Welcome back. Episode 6, Not Another Moto Pod, hosted by Sam Fury. This week we've got Glendale, round 4, our first Triple Crown of the season. Last race of the West Coast swing that we have, going east next week. So last race that we'll get out of the 250 West class for a couple weeks here. Good way to, end it on a Triple Crown. So interesting night of racing in both classes. Did have some injuries that are going to change the series, so we'll get into that later. And let's start with the 250 class. I'm going to go individually by each race, and then I'll get into the overall after. Starting with 250 race 1, we had Cole Davies getting his first Triple Crown main event win. I called it last week. Was really excited to see him up there. He has proven that he can start great every week and proven that he can run up front with these guys and run their speed. So good start as usual. He capitalized on a mistake by Juju Beaumer early in this race to take the lead on lap 1, and he set sail. He rode a perfect race. Jordan Smith was hounding him the entire night, but he rode really great to ride it in for his first win. Second, we do have Jordan Smith. Again, he got a good start as well and was chasing Cole Davies. He was hounding him. He was on his back tire the entire race. He looked really fast in the whoops. He was gaining on Cole Davies every single lap. You could see it. But Davies was pulling him on the rest of the track, so it just wasn't enough for Smith. But a really good ride for him to finish second. Third place, we have Hayden Deegan. Top 5 start. He got in a third early. He was closing on the top guys. He was really looked like he was going to make it a battle with the 3 guys. And then he went down in a turn and lost his position about halfway through the race. Remounted and got back by Mosman later to get in a third, but the leaders were already gone at that point, so good for him to salvage third. Deegan needs to be on the podium in every one of these races. He's proven that he can do this in his heat races, so he's got the speed to get to the front in these shorter races, so he really needs to be on the podium, like I said. As a title favorite, that's where he needs to be moving forward to win these things. Fourth place, Juju Beaumer, as I mentioned earlier. He got the whole shot, but he did go down on his own accord early in a turn. So he actually took about 10 guys out with him. He went down in the berm and about 10 guys ran in the back of him. So not as bad as it could have been. He didn't end up last off the first lap, but he was probably 10th, 11th, 12th. Like I said, there were a lot of guys down behind him. He was sending it to get back. So he really, really, really had the speed on the night. He was a fast qualifier today yet again. He was sending it over to the start trade, the huge triple that they were doing a lot in the 450 class. I think he was the first one that I saw doing it in the 250s. And he fought his way back to 4th place. So a good ride from Juju, but what could have been, he really could have won this race. Maybe not easily, I shouldn't say that, but he would have been out front with Davies and Smith and Deegan behind him, and neither of these guys made some passes. So it really would have been interesting to see Juju stay out front early. 5th place, Garrett Marchbanks. This was his best ride of the night. He looked pretty good coming back from injury. 6th place, Michael Mosman. Mosman looked fast and he had some fight. That was really cool to see out of Mosman. We've seen a couple glimpses of speed this year, but not much fight in the battle. So he had a lot of fight tonight. It really looked good. He was in third for a while and he lost position to Deegan multiple times before Deegan went down and after. And then Mosman himself ended up going down in the sand kind of later in the race to let Juju and Marchbanks by. That explains his 6th. Parker Ross, 7th place. He was up early running top 5. He looked pretty good. He has been a good starter. We've seen that over the last couple of races. He didn't have the speed to hang with these guys, but in a shorter race like the Triple Crown main events, it was really good to see him hold on to his 7th place. He just got passed by the faster guys. I mean, he just doesn't have the pace as all, but he's going to learn, and really good, solid ride for him to finish 7th. 8th place, we had Lux Turner. This was his best finish of the season so far. 9th, Cody Schock. He was top 5 for quite a while. We've seen him in that 5-6 range all year. That's where he belongs, and he has the speed to be one of those guys. So he was up there for a while, and it looked like he must have gone down off camera because he dropped back to 11th on the timing and scoring, and then fought his way back up to 9th. 10th place, Jet Reynolds. This is a pretty good ride for Jet. He kind of rode around 10th the entire race. 11th, TJ Albright. 12th, Josh Faries. 13th, Hunter Yoder. 14th, Anthony Bourdon. This was a rough one for him. He's usually in that 7, 8, 9 range. He must have gone down with the rest of the guys in that early pile up. Is this all I can assume? I didn't see him much on TV in that first race. 15th, Dylan Walsh. 16th, Brad West. 17th, Marshall Welton. 18th, Cole Thompson. 19th, Gavin Towers. 20th, Billy Laninovich. Laninovich must have gotten ahead of that crash because he was running 12th about halfway through the race. And it looked like he must have crashed himself to put him back to 20th. But really cool to see Billy Laninovich, 41 years old, making the main event through the LCQ. He raced his way in. That was really cool. 21st, we do have Joe Shimoda, who I think he was down early in that pileup from Juju's crash, and it looked like someone ran into the back of him. They didn't show him on TV after pulling into the pits, so I'm not sure if he pulled off or if he just kind of rode around a few laps down. So not much from Joe in that early race. We know he's still injured, of course, with his broken fingers. And then 22nd, Derek Kelly. So on to race 2. Pretty similar top 10. Race 2, Cole Davies again. He's 2 for 2 on capitalizing off of Juju's mistakes, and he was 2 for 2 on race wins. He put together another perfect ride. He set the pace the entire race and had Deegan on him about halfway through and didn't crack. We saw him kind of maybe not crack under pressure after Juju got him earlier this season at A1, and he kind of made some mistakes on his own after that. But he has really mended that. It seems like he's gotten a few heat race wins. He's gotten on the podium last week, and the first 2 races here, he was really putting it together to be a spectacular night for Cole Davies. He was breaking out that huge triple that Juju was doing in the first race, so that was really cool to see. And he held a 3-point lead going into race 3, so it looked like he was definitely going to be on the podium and kind of in charge, especially with the way that he has been starting this year. Really looked like he was going to be in charge to get his first ever win here in only his 4th race. Second, we did have Hayden Deegan. Deegan got a good start this race, and he was up front early with Davies. The star guys were riding 1, 2, 3 in the early laps with Mosman. And then Mosman was actually pressuring Deegan and actually got by him briefly. Deegan countered, but they kind of spent a lot of time battling instead of racing forward to go catch Davies. Finally, about halfway through the race, Deegan did catch Davies, but he just couldn't make anything happen. So he settled for second. Third, we had Jordan Smith. He started up front yet again. He was battling with Michael Mosman and Joe Shimoda early in the race. Once he got by Shimoda, he started pressuring the star guys for that second, third position. He did eventually get by Michael Mosman before the wall jumps, but Deegan was already gone at this point. A really smart ride to ride it in for third place. And he was tied with Deegan in overall points after 2 races. So that was Davies had 2, and Deegan and Smith both had 5 points going into the final race with the low score wins. Fourth, Michael Mosman. Mosman had a lot of speed, and he didn't back down from Deegan. It was really cool. He fought back. He passed Deegan straight up. It was awesome. Deegan, obviously, we expect to be the faster guy here, and did eventually get away from him, but it was really cool to see Michael Mosman back up front fighting with the guys like he did several years ago with Hunter Lawrence, who, of course, is a top 5 guy in the 450 class now. He rode really well, but he did lose the pace once Deegan got a gap on him, and that's what led to Jordan Smith passing him late before the wall jump. He just was kind of riding by himself when Smith caught him and didn't have anybody to grab that toe from. Fifth place, Anthony Bourdon, much more like we would expect from him. This is actually a really good bounce back from him. Obviously, I said 14th in the first race, so a 5th, that would have been his season best. I believe he did get a 5th place last year in a main event. So tie with his career best. Of course, these are Triple Crown main events, not overalls, but really good ride for Bourdon. 6th place, Shimoda. Good bounce back from the first race. Didn't see him much on TV. He was pretty quiet in this race too. 7th, Juju Beaumer. 4th in the first one, 7th in the second one. Not a good night for Juju here. He hole-shotted yet again and made another mistake and went down. He was dead last. He was flying through the pack. Like I said, he was a fast qualifier today, but when you're that far back, there's not so much you can do. He was the only one still moving through the pack late, but he did have another close call battling with Cody Schock late. He almost ran off the track. I think he jumped into a tough block. He did eventually make the pass stick to get by Hunter Yoder and Cody Schock to grab 7th place. So a good comeback from him, but he did make another mistake on his own, and by his own volition. He said so after the race that he was the one making the mistakes today. So 8th, we have Cody Schock. Decent bounce back. We expect him to be more up there with where Bourdon is in that fifth place spot. So, but good race for Cody. Ninth, we had Hunter Yoder. Good ride for him. 10th, Marchbanks. I think Marchbanks was up near the sixth place or so early. He must have gone down because I noticed that he was back in 15th at one point and rode his way back to 10th. 11 through 22, we kind of have the same guys as race one. Parker Ross, 11th, kind of a rough race. After his 7th in that first race, 12th for TJ Albright, 13th, Marshall Welton. Welton, of course, coming in from the 450 class this week. This is his first 250 race of the season. 14th, Lux Turner. We've seen Lux be faster than this year, but 14th in the Triple Crown. Shorter races. Maybe he wasn't able to make passes late. 15th, Derek Kelly. 16th, Dylan Walsh. 17th, Cole Thompson. 18th, Josh Faries. 19th, Brad West. 20th, Jet Reynolds. He must have gone down because it looked like he was in 20th for quite a while on timing and scoring. 21st, Billy Laninovich. Of course, a 41-year-old, maybe not best suited for 3 races on the night. And 22nd, Gavin Towers did not start either race 2 or race 3. I didn't see if something happened after race 1. He did finish 19th, so unsure what happened there, maybe a bike issue or something. But like I said, Towers did not start race 2 or 3 on the night. Into race 3, the deciding race, we had Jordan Smith take his win. I said in the preseason pod that he wasn't going to win this year, and I said I hope he proved me wrong, and he did it. He won the overall, and he won race 3, so really good ride for Jordan Smith. Triumph's first win, really awesome story. Maybe Forkner backs it up next week and gets Triumph's second win. Really cool story here again by Jordan Smith. He was second off the gate. He put pressure on Mosman, who was leading early, and then he got by. And this was the fastest he looked all night. He looked really fast in the sand. He looked really fast in the whoops. Jordan Smith was on top of it all night. It was actually really cool to watch him not just be the consistent guy, but to be one of the faster guys on the night. Yeah, so he passed into first and rode alone for most of the race. Like I said, a really good win from Jordan Smith. He won a race last year. It was a mud race. It was kind of iffy, and I didn't see him winning a race this year. Truthfully, of course, that was before we knew Kitchen and Forkner were not going to be riding on this coast. But Jordan Smith, really good ride. Second, Juju Beaumer. He finally held it together through lap 1. He was moving forward through the mid pack. He started around 6th. Moved forward pretty quickly. He made the move on Shimoda in a third early and set sail to go after Mosman, who was in second at this point. They had a pretty good battle, and then Juju made the pass stick for good and was trying to put some pressure on Mosman, but Smith, but Smith was gone at that point. So good backup ride for Juju after going 7-4 in the first 2. So third, we did have Michael Mosman. Good to see him on the podium, even if it is just for the Triple Crown main event. This is the guy that we used to see. Like I said, he had a lot of fight tonight in the other races, so good to see it pay off for him with a third place here. He did get the whole shot and led early. He did lead the first lap, and then got passed by Jordan Smith in the sand. But he looked comfortable at this pace, and like I said, he had a good battle with Juju and showed a lot of fight once again, so it was really good to see. Fourth place, Hayden Deegan. Deegan just off the podium here, but he did finish, of course, with the second place overall podium. He would have had to beat Jordan Smith straight up to win the overall, with Cole Davies finishing off the top 3 here. So not the best. Deegan obviously could have won tonight and kind of put a stamp on last week and put a big chunk in that red plate that Juju has. But fourth here to finish second overall, not too bad for Deegan. So he had a mid-pack start as well. I think he started around 8th. He was moving forward. He was sanding it to get into 5th. And then he made pretty quick work of Shimoda for 4th, and then he almost endoed off the wall jump. And Shimoda almost got him back. But he corrected and made the pass stick. But at that point, again, the top 3 was already gone. These are shorter races. It's hard to make up ground. So 4th for Deegan, good on the night. It really wouldn't have mattered. If he had gotten Mosman or Juju or these other guys, he really would have had to get all the way up to Smith. So at the end of the night, not a terrible end of the night for Deegan. 5th place, Joe Shimoda, best start of the night. He looked good in 3rd, but he just doesn't have the same pace as the guys right now. Again, we know his fingers are still broken, so maybe he can heal up a bit more over this 2-week break we have. Not much he can do about broken fingers right now. 6, we have Garrett Marchbanks. He moved forward. This was a good way to start the night. Finish the night after a rough race 2. So going 5:10:6, not bad for Marchbanks coming back off of that shoulder injury. 7th, Anthony Bourdon. Like I said, good races in race 2 and 3 to salvage that 7th overall, as well as the 7th in this main event. Obviously an uncharacteristic finish in race 1, but again, I'm assuming he was down in that big pileup. 8th, Cole Davies. Unfortunate after going 1-1. He really looked like the best guy on the night to me, but the points don't lie, I guess. Davies, so not a great start. He went down in the rhythm lane after hitting a tough block. He said after the race that someone had hit the tough block when jumping it and pushed it into the rhythm lane, so Davies landed on it, really had nowhere to go. But it took him down a pretty good spill, and he was way back. He was an entire section, an entire lane behind when they showed him on TV early in the race. So a really fantastic ride to get back to 8th place in only 10 minutes. Again, to me, he looked like the best guy all day. He's really composed out there. He's going to be a threat. He's 15 down, unfortunately, but I think he can be a threat going forward. Maybe these East-West shootouts get funky and he can, find a big points haul one night and get his way into the points battle. We'll see. Again, the crash really wasn't his fault, but due to a bad start, he said it himself. He's got to get a better start there, and we know Cole Davies obviously can pull a whole shot. So he did salvage 3rd place overall, so really good to see him finish on the podium after such a good night. 9th, we have Cody Schock, another 9th place. He was 5th yet again and went down again, just like in race 1. So kind of a rough night for Cody. We're not used to seeing him go down when he's in that position, so a 5.85 would have looked better than a 9.89 for Schock, but I think he'll take it. 10th, Derek Kelly. Good ride for him after a rough first race. He looked pretty good in the second race, but a better third for him. 11th, we had Parker Ross. 12th, Lux Turner. 13th, Marshall Welton. 14th, TJ Albright. 15th, Dylan Walsh. He was there all night. 16th, Josh Rees. 17th, Jet Reynolds. 18th, Cole Thompson. He was there all night. 19th, Billy Laninovich, 20th, Brad West, 21st, Yoder, and then, of course, 22nd, Gavin Towers, who, again, did not start. So, overalls on the night, Jordan Smith first, Deegan second, Cole Davies third. A really, solid podium there. Deegan and Smith, of course, were teammates last year aboard the Star Yamaha team. And now Deegan and Davies, of course, are Star Yamaha teammates. Jordan Smith, again, first win for the Triumph. Really cool story there. 4th, Juju Beaumer. 5th, Michael Mosman. 6th, Marchbanks. Good night for him. 7th, Bourdon. 8th, Schock. 9th, Parker Ross. So a good 9th place finish. I believe that's Parker Ross's best overall finish with 7-11-11 scores on the night. 10th, Joe Shimoda. 21.65. Obviously would have finished closer to the top 5 range had he not gotten run into that pileup early in race 1. 11th, Lux Turner. 12th, TJ Albright. He was 11, 12, 14 on the night. 13th, Marshall Welton. 14th, Hunter Yoder. Kind of a rough night for Yoder. We've seen him around the 9, 10, 11 range in the last few races. So rough night for him with a 21st in that third race, kind of throwing him off with a 13, 9, 21 there. So 15th, Dylan Walsh. I mentioned he was around there all night. He went 15, 16, 15. 16th, we had Varese. 17th, Derek Kelly. 18th, Jet Reynolds, who probably had our most diverse finishes of the night with a 10th, a 20th, and a 17th. 19th was Cole Thompson. 20th, Brad West. And then Billy Laninovich at 21st. And then, of course, Gavin Towers finishing 22nd after his 19 DNF. Or DNS, I should say. So a good look forward to the points race here. Juju does still hold the red plate. However, Jordan Smith is now only 2 points behind. I said it last week. Had he not made a boneheaded mistake last week going after Juju in the whoops late in that race, he would be tied for the points lead right now. But still really solid for Jordan Smith. Deegan is 3 points back of Juju, and Cole Davies is 15. That's rough, but like I said, maybe in the East-West shootouts, he can get in there and kind of put some guys between this top 3. Unfortunate for Davies that this top three is so close knit in this class with not enough depth. I don't see him getting up there, but we'll see whatever can happen. Um, into injuries, we did have Drew Adams unfortunately break his collarbone in only his second race early in qualifying. That will require surgery. I'm not sure how long he will be out. Collarbone is not a terrible injury, but I'm not sure what PC is going to decide to do, based on getting him back out here or versus just getting him ready for outdoors. And we do have some news on Ryder DiFrancesco's injury during the week, so he's likely out for the season. This was his second race that he missed of the year, but we are hearing that he is likely out for the season. Hopefully he can come back in outdoors. I think Ryder D is a pretty good outdoor rider versus his Supercross skills, so hopefully we can see that. The next race for the 250 East class is going to be the Arlington Triple Crown on February 22nd. So the series is heading east for 2 weeks. So weirdly enough, that the guys are going to leave on a Triple Crown and come back on a Triple Crown. I think this is the first time we've had this weird kind of format happen, that a series has ended and begun again on a Triple Crown format. So very interesting to see, but maybe a good look forward, here on tonight's overall, looking forward to what Arlington could look like in 2 weeks. So I will jump into the 450 class. All right, so let's look through the 450 class. Same way, I'll go through each race, finishing order, and then, of course, go to the overall. So 450 race one, we had Cooper Webb taking the win. Odd, a lot of people said that he's not good at Glendale. The stats say that he's not good at Glendale. Apparently, he heard it all night. We know that getting Cooper Webb mad is the way to get him up front and get him to go faster. So whole shot and pretty quickly pulled out like a 3-second lead. Webb's not known for running away at races like this. He's not known for being the fastest guy. He's more of a crafty guy. So to see him pull the whole shot and take this from start to finish was a really good ride from Webb. A lot of guys battled behind him. That helped him, of course, build that lead, and then he held off Jet for the entire race. So a really good ride for Cooper Webb here in race one. Second place in race one, Jet Lawrence. Fourth off the start, made some pretty quick moves to get around Mookie and his brother. He was closing on Coop, and he was clearly the fastest guy on the track, but Webb is unbreakable. We all know that Webb is one of the most mentally tough people in the sport, and is not going to be forced into a mistake. Jet's been really timid on making passes early this season. I think if he had maybe, tried to put a wheel in there on Webb, he could have found a way around. Jet was faster than him, but in the Triple Crown format, that's really not necessary. Starting the night with a second place is not a bad place to start. But like I said, Jet was faster, and it looked like he could make the move if he had maybe shown a wheel or tried to make a move somewhere. Third, Chase Sexton. Chase was lurking early after a mid-pack start. He got passed by Roxon early, but he looked fast, and he made a pass on Hunter in the sand to get back by, and then to get up to Roxon. So Roxon was then running in third, and Chase was pressuring him, and eventually made the pass into third place. Fourth place, Ken Roxon. He was sixth off the start, but he showed that vintage, early race Ken Roxon speed. He passed Sexton and Hunter to get into third early, and then he looked like the fastest guy in the whoops all race. It was awesome to watch him go through the whoops all night. Sexton did get by him once things got settled. But like I said, Roxon looked good, and this looked like a good start to his night to defend that red plate for next week. Fifth, we did have Hunter Lawrence. He was third off the start. His starts have made a comeback, of course, but he still finds himself kind of going backwards more often than not early in the race. He did make a quick pass on Mookie to get in the second, but Jet, Sexton, and Kenny got by him without much of a fight. Hunter's always said that he had struggles with early race intensity, especially in the 450 class, and he may still be working through some of that. Dropping back here to fifth place, though the guys that got by him are no slouches, of course. Sixth place, Eli Tomac, terrible start. It seems like he's either first or last off the starts this year with no in between. But he was moving through the pack. I said Jet was the fastest guy on the track, but Eli might have been the fastest guy on the track, when you take into account that he was moving through everybody. He got into seventh about halfway through, and then he got Mookie on the last lap to salvage sixth. I had called Eli to win these Triple Crowns. This one especially, Eli's got some good momentum. And Eli has proven to be the king of the Triple Crown, so 6, not a great start on the night for him. 7th, we did have Mookie, Malcolm Stewart. Good start, but he got swallowed up by the faster guys. He started around 2nd, and then Hunter got around him pretty quickly. And then, of course, the guys that we just talked about, kind of got by him through the race. He finished about where he has all year, that 7-8 range. So a decent ride for Mookie. Despite starting up front, it's rough to see him go backwards. But 7th is probably where he belongs in this class. 8th place, we do have a good ride from Justin Hill. 9th place, Dylan Ferrandis. 10th, Aaron Plessinger. 11th, Jason Anderson. 12th, Justin Barsha. 13th, Justin Cooper. 14th, Shane McElrath. 15th, Mitchell Oldenburg. 16th, Colt Nichols. 17th, Savachi. Rough night for Savachi. 18th, Kyle Chisholm. 19th, Anthony Rodriguez. 20th, Cade Clayson. 21st, Benny Bloss. He must have gone down. I didn't see what happened to Benny in this main event. And 22nd, we have Mitchell Harrison. Mitchell Harrison did not start race 2 or 3. He was a DNS as well. Not sure if anything happened to him particularly. Checked on socials today, didn't see any posts from him, so not sure if there was an injury or a bike issue there either. Similar to Towers in the 250 class. 450 race 2, winner Ken Roxon. He hole shotted and set sail. Again, vintage Ken Roxon. Just first lap speed and then perfection when leading. The group finally caught up to him late in the race, but it wasn't enough to show him a wheel. And they said the stat on the broadcast, but Roxon wins his first Triple Crown race since 2020. I thought that odd. I haven't looked back yet, but Kenny's fast, but he hasn't maybe quite been himself through these last few years. But a 5-year span between Triple Crown win races seems like a while for Kenny. Second, Jet Lawrence again, another good start, and Roxon just edged him out at the start to get the whole shot. He looked feisty up front, but he was just no match early for Roxon's speed up front. He couldn't find much time on the track for some reason. Roxon was jumping that big triple early, and it didn't look like Jet was making up too much time on him until later in the race when he was getting pushed by Chase Sexton. He did make it very close at the finish line, at maybe one more lap or so. Maybe Jet gets him, but going too early in the Triple Crown format, not a bad start for Jet. Third place again, Chase Sexton, so another mid-pack start. He battled with Eli a few times and finally moved forward to put some pressure on Jet and Kenny, with that pack moving forward. So he was 3-3 going into race 3, not looking too bad. Fourth place, Eli Tomac, just another terrible start. It sucks to watch because he's so fast, but another race where he was moving through the pack faster than anybody thought it was really possible. He's flying. He caught Chase and battled for third. They almost collided. There was a couple minutes left in the race, I believe. They almost collided on the tabletop, and he kind of backed it down from there while Chase moved forward to catch up to Jet. So another good salvage job from Eli, but not what we would expect on the night from him. 6'4", not a good way to start for someone as fast as Eli Tomac and as in rhythm as he's been lately. Fifth place, Cooper Webb. 11th early, but he caught a toe with Eli. They kind of moved through the pack together. Webb doesn't have Eli's all-out speed, but they made a few passes, one after another. So he got to Anderson and Ferrandis in 5th and 6th and made passes on both. I think he got Anderson almost on the last turn of the last lap or right before. So a good ride forward for Webb despite his rough start. So 1-5 for Webb to start. 6th, Jason Anderson, making up for his 11th in the first race. He had a good start and he was making moves like we've seen a lot of him early this year. He briefly did get by Jet into second place very early in the race, but Jet got him back and kind of set sail. Anderson moved backwards a bit. We didn't see him much on the broadcast after the top guys got by him. I'm not sure if he went down at any point or if he just didn't have the pace. And then, of course, we did see Webb go by him on that last turn. 7th, AP. AP was kind of quiet on the night. Ferrandis, 8th. He was quiet as well. Didn't see much of these two guys on the broadcast, unfortunately. 9th place, Hunter Lawrence. He was 7th early, not his best start. And then he kind of struggled around 10th place, it looked like mid-race. So 9th for Hunter, uncharacteristic there. Not sure what happened. 10th place, Justin Hill, another solid finish for him. 11th, Malcolm Stewart. He got another good start, but he moved backwards pretty quickly, unfortunately. 12th, we have Justin Barsha, another rough start. He 12-12 through these first two races. Jay Coop 13th. He was 13-13 through the first two. 14th for Savacci. 15th Shane McElrath. 16th Colt Nichols. 17th Mitchell Oldenburg. 18th again Chiz. 19th again A-Rod. 20th Bloss. Again, not sure if something happened to him again. 21st Cade Clayson. And then 22nd, of course, Mitchell Harrison didn't start. Looking into race 3, and so I believe Jet was leading the points here with Roxon and Sexton right behind him going into the third race. But at the end of the day, we got a winner. Eli Tomac finally got a start. Again, he may have been the fastest guy all night, maybe outside of Jet, and he was sending it. Sexton got by him early, got by him and Hunter early for the lead, and then Eli was right there on his rear wheel, launched the start straight jump that a lot of the guys have been doing all night and got by Sexton in the sand. And then Eli was absolutely sending it and almost looped out before building a gap and kind of winning going away. He did finish 4th overall after a rough first 2 races, but Eli was flying all day. It was awesome. I hope that he has some good momentum on his side moving forward, going into next week's Tampa race. Second place, Chase Sexton. 3.32 on the night for Chase. He got a good start as well, and he passed into the lead and looked pretty comfy until Eli got him. He said later in an interview that he made a mistake going into the sand section, and that's what allowed Eli to get him. And he was mad about it, though he didn't need the win to win the overall for the night. So he did the smart thing and took second and took the overall win. But they had a good battle for a while, so Sexton, first 2-time winner on the season, and looking good. Not too flashy on the night, but 3.32, good for Sexton. Third, Cooper Webb. He was mid-pack early, but he made some quick moves up to third place. A lot of these guys kind of rode alone, as sometimes happens in the third race of the Triple Crown. The math is sometimes already figured out. So Webb rode around in third, kind of rode by himself for most of the race to get second overall on the night. Fourth place, Hunter Lawrence. He hole-shotted, as we were accustomed to. Obviously, again, rough start in race 2, but 2 good starts on the night. He got passed by Chase and Eli early, and then he kind of gave up third to Webb. Like I said, with Webb, he rode alone in 4th place all night. So that's 3 5th-place overalls for Hunter with a 5.94 on the night, I believe. 5th, Ken Roxon. He had a rough start to this one. It kind of took him out of the hunt for the overall. But he did look fast on the night, so that's good for him and his momentum. He had an awesome battle with Justin Hill for 6th place before finally making it stick and chasing down Barcia late to get 5th and salvage the overall podium. He had to get Barcia for 5th to keep Eli off the podium and gain 3rd for himself. So it was a good night for Kenny and a 3rd podium for him in 4 races to start the season. 6th, we had Justin Barcia. This was a good bounce-back ride for Barcia. 12-12-6 on the night, but he started up front and held on to 5th for most of the race until Kenny got him late. So good ride for Barcia. 7th place, Justin Hill. Very consistent night for Justin Hill. Probably the best he's looked in years in that battle with Roxon. He got a lot of TV time, and he really showed what he can do. It was really cool. He did jump off the track late in that battle. He had come back at Roxon for a second time, and I think he jumped off the track to avoid jumping on Roxon, and he held it up. He didn't crash. He kind of perfectly jumped off the track, jumped right into the lane, and kept going. But at that point, Roxon had made his move and kept going. So a good 7th for Justin Hill and a good night for him. 8th, Jason Anderson. 9th place, Aaron Plessinger. 10th place, Jay Coop. He made some good moves to get into the top 10 to kind of better up a rough night of a 13-13-10 for him. Mookie, another 11th here. He got a bad start, but he did move through the pack, similar to Jay Coop, to save a 7-11-11 night. 12, Dylan Ferrandis. 13, Shane McElrath. 14, Savacci. Again, rough night for Savacci. 17, 14 on the night. 15, Colt Nichols. Colt's having a rough year. 16th, Benny Bloss, a bit better than the first 2 races, but not really where we expect him. 17th, Mitchell Oldenburg. 18th for the 3rd time, Chiz. 19th, Anthony Rodriguez. A-Rod. 20th, Cade Clayson. And 21st, Jetson Lawrence. Stabbed his foot in the first turn, and we've got news today that he tore his ACL and a partial meniscus tear. Surgery, I believe he said tomorrow. That would be February 4th, 4-month recovery time. I don't know that he will be ready for the start of outdoors, which sucks. Um, this is a huge wrench thrown in the series, so we'll see what happens going forward. Jets kind of got that Triple Crown curse thing going on. We thought he had broken it when he swept the Triple Crown last year, and then of course he had the incident. We're jumping on the red flag where Eli eventually did win overall in the night, and then he had the Barsha incident where he did get injured, of course, again last year. So this is an unfortunate injury, and what really looked to be a night where he could go win. 2-2-21, not what expected from Jet. Obviously, he pulled off immediately after the first turn when it happened after he dabbed his knee. So rough night for Jet, rough night for the series. Yeah, 22nd again, Mitchell Harrison. So the overall in the night looks like this. First place, again, Chase Sexton, great rides. Second, Cooper Webb. Third, Ken Roczen. Fourth, Eli Tomac. Fifth, again, third, fifth in a row, Hunter Lawrence. Sixth place, Justin Hill. Great night for him. Seventh, Jason Anderson. Eighth, Jet Lawrence salvages eighth. Again, it's not going to matter because he mentioned today that he will be out for the season. So the points hunt no longer makes a difference for him. Ninth place, Plessinger. Solid night for him, 10, 7, 9. He's had a couple rough weeks. We do expect AP to be closer to the front, but with the way he's been riding lately, this is a good night for him. 10th place, Malcolm Stewart. 11th, Ferrandis. 12th, Barsha. 13th, Jay Coop. 14th, Shane McElrath. 15th, Joey Shivachi. I mentioned that 17, 14, 14. 16th, Colt Nichols. 17th, Mitchell Oldenburg. 18th, Chiz. 19th, Bloss. 20th, A-Rod. 21st, Cade Clayson. And 22nd, of course, Mitchell Harrison. So the points do look like this. Chase Sexton now has the red plate by 2 points over Ken Roczen. So the plate is changing hands yet again. I believe that's every race this year in, well, not both classes because Juju still holds it in 250. So, but every race in the 450 class. So good for Chase to take back the points lead. Ken is 2 behind. Eli is 9 points behind, and then Cooper Webb is 10 points behind. Again, of course, Jet, I believe he's 12, but won't matter. And then Anderson's like 20 behind at this point, already in the season. So it's looking like it's shaping up to be a 4-horse race, though maybe not the 4 horses that we expected at the start of the year. With Kenny kind of throwing a wrench in things and looking like his old self. Injury news, we do have news that Prado is also out for the Supercross season. He did have surgery on his shoulder that he dislocated throughout a socket last week in qualifying. So Prado's out for the season. Jet's out for the season. I mean, these were 2 guys that we expected to contend for the outdoor season. Prado, we do, of course, expect to be back. I believe that's a decently minor surgery on the shoulder as far as recovery time. I could be completely incorrect there, but I believe Prado will be back for the outdoor season. And Jet, again, I'm not sure. Having done an ACL myself, 4 months seems like quite a quick time to be back to his skill level and his level of health. So we'll see. Certainly he may be back at some point in the outdoor season. We'd love to see him come back and fight for race wins and, kind of battle out with the guys whether or not he can win the title. And then, of course, the SMX, having won a race last week, he has already qualified for the SMX, whether he races outdoors or not. So we'd love to see him come back and defend his SMX title if he is not able to race outdoors this season. Just a terrible blow to the series. But what do you do? It's dirt bikes. People get hurt. What really sucks to me, I think Jet was kind of on that trajectory to be one of the all-time greats. And I've always said that would always happen if not for injuries. And 2 seasons in a row, unfortunately, we have injuries to him that have taken him out. So hope this is, something that heals up quickly. ACLs are fairly common. So we don't expect this to be a super long-term thing, but rough start to the 2025 year. Next race is Tampa. I will be in attendance. Can't wait. Super excited. It'll be our first race on the East Coast for the 250 class. That's stacked 250 class. While the West Coast class gets 2 races off. So really excited to be out there in Tampa next week. Predictions. I kind of expect Levi Kitchen and Austin Faulkner to be up front next week. I would love to see Faulkner get Triumph's second win. I think back-to-back would be really cool. Of course, we know Kitchen will be a favorite in any class he's in. Not to mention guys like Tom Vial and RJ Hampshire, last year's champions on each coast. Them as well. So, and then the 450s, I think Webb's on fire right now. I think Eli's on fire. Chase is incredibly solid right now. Has not shown the crazy all-out speed in the races, but he's been super consistent. He's right there every race. And then Kenny's looked good too. So I have an inkling that Webb will win next week. I think he's going to build a lot of momentum off of this week's second place, and especially that first race this week. So I'm looking forward to seeing that, and maybe seeing the red plate change hands yet again with this points race so close. So that's it for the 450s, 250s. I didn't watch the SMX next class. I watched a bit of it and got a bit disinterested. I'm not super invested or knowledgeable yet on the amateur class coming up. So maybe next time I'll look into the SMX next class, and maybe we'll give some insight on that. So for that is it for episode 6, Glendale. Please remember to follow us on Instagram or X at Not Another Moto Pod. And we are on Spotify and YouTube as well. So thanks for listening.